music for non-copyright that you can use. And not only does it do that, but you can take out just the vocals and have just the music, or you can take out just the percussions, the drums, or you can take out just the guitar, or you can leave just the guitar in, or whatever. So you can play with it quite a bit, kind of customize it each song. So each song is broken into they got the actual recording tracks, and then you get access to that. So, which is really neat. But I couldn't afford it at the time, and I figured, well, it's non-copyrighted, so if I record it, I can still use it, There was a song I liked the lyrics in it, because the lyrics kind of had a funky beat to it, and the lyrics kind of expressed what I was feeling or going through, and trying to get to work and get my feet, because I filmed it after I'd lost my job for 11 years at the apartment complex here. And because my bright idea of recording it and using it, I worked well, put it together, but then YouTube sent me, not a copyright strike, but they let me know it was copyright music, because I didn't have, I guess there's probably some digital tag that goes with it or something to show that you paid the subscription and get to use it. But because I didn't have that with it, it got flagged as a copyright thing, and it said it was fine, I could keep it on there, but if that video ever makes money, that song or whatever, that place where you subscribe, maybe whoever it is, somebody gets the money, not me, if that video's ever monetized, which I didn't care. I was like, that's fine, I just want to use the music, I liked how it felt in there, and I know there's other music that's on the radio that I couldn't use, because then you couldn't even play your video. This way I could still play it, and I liked the music that could go with it. Well, I was so proud of it, and that was my first experience of an internet troll, and it was an older guy too. It was an old guy that trolled me, and says he started trashing on it, saying that it was because of the music, because it was a little more modern, especially since he's an old guy. It's more modern for him, because it kind of had a funky beat to it, and because I wanted it to be kind of fun, even though the lyrics were talking about having pain and getting back on your feet and moving forward in life, whatever. It's had a funky beat to it, an upbeat kind of a deal. So I liked it. I liked the message, because it was saying, you're going to do this. And then I filmed the whole town and put this music to it. And this guy just broke to me, just really tore it up, and said that he wouldn't recommend that video for nobody. It was the worst music to go with that video ever. Blah, blah. I mean, he really tore into me, and really affected my emotions, and I never met this guy in my life. So that was my first experience of something like that, because it was something I created, even though I've seen internet trolls just online in general communicating back and forth with each other, saying stuff. Because it was my work, it affected me more personally. Well, he said in there that I should do my videos more like Jack Demke. That he knows how to make a good documentary, and he knows how to make it professional, and blah 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 blah. Mine sucked and stuff. Well, so I first I was upset. I wanted to write back to him, I want to say something, and right away I thought of all the things my mom's always taught me in my life, and how to always, even when somebody's being rotten, to find at least one good thing about them, and also to, if somebody's being mean or not nice, or making not nice comments, kill them with kindness, I think she got that from Jesus, so I just wrote back to him and said, I apologize, it's not to your liking, but I've had other people like it, and if you let me know the kinds of music you like, maybe the next video I make, I could pick some kind of, I told him I was limited to music because of copyrights, so I didn't have much to choose from, and I said, and if you let me know some kind of music you like. Maybe in my next video, I could put some music that you like in there, and maybe you'd like that, you know, because you know it can't satisfy everybody. You know, everybody's got their opinion. And he was pretty negative about it. He talked more about Jack Dempsey or something. I'd have to go back and look at the comments or something. But well, I didn't even though I was being nice, I didn't have to worry about arguing with him because all kinds of other people started writing back on his comment. Well, I think it's great. I'm going to share it with my friends. I like it a lot. I think it was a good selection of music or whatever. So all these other people started really battering at him, you know. Then I felt kind of sorry for the guy because lots of people started putting their 2 cents in, telling him what they thought. They probably didn't like his meanness, the way he was going about, you know, attacking my creation. So anyway, so he really was pretty firm on the Jack Dempsey deal, and I told him when I wrote to him that I didn't even know who Jack Dempsey was, you know, but and he wrote back to me and said he was a local in the area here. I filmed Lindstrom, and Jack Dempsey lived in Chisago, which is another town where my parents. That's where my parents originally lived when I was, or that's where they lived quite the whole time, pretty much, most of the time. Well, while I was working in Lindstrom that I filmed and stuff. Well, then, well, we weren't at the time when I filmed it. No, we were living in Lindstrom then. But so going a little slower. I want to look and make sure I wasn't holding people up. So he tells me Jack Dempsey's a local, and that he's done documentaries for, I forget, he started naming all the different types of stuff he'd done, you know, bigger names like National Geographic or something, you know, it wasn't National Geographic, but a name that was well known, you know. And then he said that, and McDonald's used to have these play parks, McDonald's land, that had the McDonald's characters in them, you know, Ronald McDonald, Grimace, Hamburglar, all that stuff, and there'd be different things kids could play on, whether it was a Ronald McDonald slide or a Hamburglar swing or whatever, you know. And apparently he had done stuff for the first commercials for that, and I think he filmed the one in West St. Paul, I think, or whatever. And then he had some other good stuff too, that for some other movies that were movies and documentaries and stuff. So yeah, he did kind of get involved and kind of made a name for himself. So, and I learned that because after he told me that he was a local and stuff, and told me a little bit about him, I did research on him to find out who this Jack Dempsey was that this guy said I should be more like, and that was more professional. You know, so I learned more stuff about Jack Dempsey, and oh, that's cool, but that just ain't my style, you know. I still like what I did, even though he didn't like it. And a lot of other people liked it. You know, more people liked it than I think he was the only one who really didn't like it or had something negative to say. He was the only one that I can remember. Well, the neatest thing is, after our little online interaction there, it was weird. It was like a few weeks later or something like that, because Jack Dempsey's a local. I don't know if he was on YouTube or if it popped up as a video he might want to watch or whatever, but somehow my Lindstrom video, well, it could have been the algorithm too, because of what we were talking about, his name in there. I bet you that's how, I never thought about it until just now. I bet you because of the algorithm, and because his name was talked about, it popped it up as something for him to watch probably. You know, and then he thought, oh, hey, Lindstrom, that's right here by me, you know, and so he watched it, and then Jack Dempsey, the guy who was all professional that knew how to make videos, and I didn't or whatever. It was so cool, it was very flattering, just made my day. It made my whole month and my whole experience into YouTube a lot better, you know, from that moment of feeling like somebody didn't like it. Jack Dempsey writes to me and says he watched my Lindstrom video, he said, and he loved it. He said, I did such a wonderful job of capturing the real feel of the town and everything. And he just really raved about it. He really, 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 really liked it. And he said the only problem is the music that was with it was copyrighted music, which it was. he wanted to use it for public access TV in our area. And but he said because it's copyrighted music, we can't put it on there. He said so I'd have to change the audio on it, you know, and take the audio out and put my own audio in. But he'd really like to do that and put it on public access because all the film footage I got, he said, was just amazing. So, and he asked me if I would agree to let him do that, you know, and I said, well, sure, that'd be great. And he said he'd give me credit, you know, that, you know, it was filmed by a new creator, blah, 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 blah. And so how flattering was that, you know? The very guy that I got browbeat for from the other guy ended up being the guy that thought my video was awesome. He just couldn't, he raved really high about it. And he ended up using it and putting it on public TV in our area. That really was a nice justification feeling for me, you know? So, and I never argued with the guy that was trash talking. I was just nice to him. And then, and I don't even know, I can't remember if I don't think I wrote back to him that Jack Depke seen my video and really liked it. You know, he had enough people probably, you know, and if he knew Jack well enough, well then Jack probably seen it or something, or maybe if he did know Jack, well maybe he said something to Jack and yeah, somebody filmed this video Lindstrom and they did it rotten, blah 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 blah. Jack then maybe watched it and was like, no, that's good. You know? I don't know how it went, but I'm guessing it's the algorithm thing, you know, especially since his name was mentioned. I'm guessing that's probably how I seen it now that I think about it. You know. That was a neat experience. And I know this is a super long video because normally I try to stop it in between, but I got too much on my mind to keep saying, you know, and closing out a video and restarting it again. I got a lot going on in my wheels are turning. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm doing a pretty good job of hiding it. And I just figure, even though it's going to be like an hour-long video, I'll cut it into. This is where I'm going to have to do some editing. And I'm going to have to. I'll just go. You know, say it's an hour-long video, I can make it into 5-10 minute videos or something. Because it seems like when they're long videos, nobody watches. And some of the stuff I talk about I think is important. Like the story I just shared. Somebody that watches this video, they could have started YouTube. Somebody could have said some mean stuff to them, and they might just want to quit and never do it again. And they might have a lot of good talent and creativity in them, and they let somebody else's opinions stop them from doing something great on YouTube or something. And that person might watch this video, hear my experience, and maybe that'll make them think, well, I'm going to keep going forward with it. You know, that person that trash talked my video, maybe they don't know what they're talking about. It. Maybe there's people that will like my videos. You know, so all these different things I talk about are intended to be these videos are to be there for somebody who's destined to maybe see it, that maybe it'll lift their spirits or they'll relate or whatever. You know, that's my hope for these videos. Burnt through an eighth of a tank. So yeah, so it takes me. We'll see when I get there, but that's scary. I gotta see what I can do. I gotta get income going somehow. So when I got income, then I wouldn't, even though I'm burning more gas than I'd like to. If I got income, I ain't too worried about. When you don't have income, you don't know how you're going to replace it and stuff. Everything's all stress from one moment to the next. Can't be good on a body, that's for sure. I try not to stress, and I'm pretty much an optimist, you know, and I do a pretty good job of pulling positivity out of a lot of really rough situations. But I am only a human being right now, so sometimes it wears on me. And this 8-month run has really been wearing on me. What makes it harder is before, anytime when I was younger and I went through the transition of being out of work or something. I was around family and friends that, well, I thought were family and friends. You know, it's kind of weird. You go a long time thinking you know people. And then sometimes one day comes after years of knowing people, you start finding out different things they've done behind the scenes that just blow your mind. Like, wow, I always thought they really cared about me enough to do it. They wouldn't do that kind of stuff, you know. It's weird. But so what makes it tougher this time too is that I listened to God and walked away from everybody. Well, almost everybody. On my mom's side of the family, I still stay in touch with them sporadically, but they, you know, they all got their own lives and stuff. They care about me and they touch base every now and then. One of my main links is Facebook. If it wasn't for my daughter and my family, I probably wouldn't even use Facebook, I guess. But it's one way of me letting everybody know what I'm up to by posting some pictures of where I'm at or something, or writing something about what happened during the week or something, you know. I guess sometimes I've noticed that if I start feeling down or lonely or something, I tend to post more. I guess it must make me feel like I'm not as alone if I'm posting more or something. Well, Lord, on this journey today, thank you for keeping me safe and keep keeping me safe for my whole journey there and back. Right now, we'll just work on getting there safe, right? And it sure would be nice if I had some good financial stuff happen with this free play stuff. I thank you for each week that it's worked out and I've made enough gas to keep surviving. But I wouldn't be opposed to something really big happening so I could be a little less stressed for a while. Oh, thank you for everything, Lord. You know, there's been times that throughout my life that I went to play this free play stuff, because there's other times in my life when they used to run buses to the casinos and I was hurt and didn't know how to work. When back in like around 2008, and stuff was really tough then. And I was contracted for myself doing rock gardens, mowing lawns. If it was winter, I was snow blowing, shoveling. You know, I was doing anything I could to make a buck to live. You know, and then one time I broke my foot. That's kind of what got me into the free play survival deal with casinos. That was way down in the city, so there were different casinos. But I broke my foot. It was a bad break the way it was, so they wanted me to do surgery on it so it'd heal quicker. But I didn't want to have surgery and have an open wound that could, you know, it's letting air into my butt. Something abnormal, you know. It's another risk for infection, whatever. You know, busting getting your foot down on the ground, dirtier area and stuff. So I just thought, no. So not unless you're saying that's what I have to do. They said, well, no, but it'll take a lot longer to heal. And I said, as long as it's going to heal, it's going to take longer. I prefer not to be cut open and have screws and pins drilled into my bones. You know, heal God's way. And so that's just how I look at it, you know. I don't think God wanted me to have drilling and tapping all my bones and put a bunch of metal in me. So now if it was life-saving or if I was going to lose my ability to walk for the rest of my life or something, or I wouldn't be able to walk the same on that leg and